In October 2009, an entire family vanished, disappeared without a trace. It is one of the creepiest, most bizarre unsolved mysteries. Their truck was found days later, abandoned on a dirt road in the middle of nowhere in Oklahoma. Inside, their family dog, who was still alive, their wallets, phones, and thousands of dollars in cash. But no sign of Bobby, Cheryl Lynn, or their 6-year-old daughter, Madison. Investigators were baffled. There were no signs of a struggle, but there was a trail of strange details. Haunting security footage from their home, where the couple appears to be in a trance, packing. And the fact that leading up to their disappearance, the Jamison family believed their house was haunted. Before they disappeared, they told friends that dark spirits were tormenting them, entities on their roof. Then one day, they packed up their truck and drove into the woods, and no one saw them alive ever again. This is Avery After Dark, and I'm your host, Avery Ross, and today we're taking a look at one of the strangest cases I have ever come across. The mysterious story of the Jamison family and their eerie disappearance. It's unsolved, no one really knows what happened, and the details surrounding this case are creepy, we'll just say that. Before we get into it, subscribe to this channel, give this video a like, and turn on post notifications so you never miss a mystery. This story is as disturbing as it is puzzling. The Jamison family consisted of Bobby Dale Jamison, 44, Cheryl Lynn Jamison, 40, and their daughter, Madison Stormy Starr, 6, and they lived in Eufaula, Oklahoma. Those who knew them, friends and family members, say that in the months leading up to their disappearance, something had changed. As I mentioned, the Jamisons believed that their home was being haunted by 2 to 4 spirits, evil spirits, and it terrified them. They claimed that there were these 3 spirits that were on their roof. Bobby even confided in a pastor, saying that he had seen and heard ghosts in his home. A pastor named Gary Brandon in Eufaula believed something was wrong. He said Bobby once asked if it was possible for a house to be possessed, and even asked if it was possible to shoot a ghost with special supernatural bullets. The couple was in the market to purchase some land, and apparently, according to family, their plan was to purchase land and then move their storage unit onto the property, and they were just going to live in the storage unit. That's clearly not the best situation for a 6-year-old to live in a windowless storage unit. But according to friends and family, that was their plan. And they were looking at different properties in the mountains 30 miles away from their home. This was really gonna be their fresh start in their minds. And Cheryl Lynn actually had a son from another relationship named Colton, who was older and didn't live with the family. And he said that he had spoken to Cheryl Lynn in the weeks before they disappeared, and he had talked with his mom, but she made no mention of the move. The Jamisons were last seen a few weeks before Halloween on October 8th, 2009, in the woods going to view a 40-acre plot of land near Red Oak, Oklahoma. And maybe even the strangest part was the security footage from the family's home. In the days before they disappeared, the Jamisons were captured on their surveillance camera walking back and forth from the house to their truck, over and over again. The couple didn't talk, there was no sound, it was almost like they were in this trance. The day they left, that footage showed Bobby and Cheryl Lynn packing items into the truck in complete silence, not talking to each other, 30 to 40 trips to the car back and forth. This went on for a while. They would even change clothing in the midst. The behavior on the footage was, like I said, almost like they were in a trance. It was strange. They would bring items out to the car and then walk back out and remove the item and bring it back in. At points, the two would even just stop and stare during portions of the footage. It's very creepy and strange to see. While packing, police saw them place a briefcase in the truck, which is never seen again. Family later saw the footage and noted that Cheryl Lynn and Bobby looked, quote, emaciated to them, so they were very thin. Everything about their behavior that day truly gives you the creeps. Something was very off. They told their realtor they didn't need company and were going to check out this property alone. And then they vanished. When family didn't hear from them for days, they became worried and called the police. Connie, Sherilyn's mother, immediately knew that something bad must have happened and believed that they had been killed from the jump. The sheriff at the time, named Israel Beecham, initially thought the Jamisons maybe went camping or maybe got lost. He was hoping there was some reasonable explanation. He also got a feel for the family and initially thought these seem like the kind of people that are off the grid. Maybe they just wanted to get out of town. But days passed and family weren't hearing from them and they hadn't shown back up. On the 8th day, October 16th, a local hunter discovered the Jamisons' truck pulled off to the side of a dirt road in the mountains. Finding this led investigators to believe that there was foul play here. Something must have gone really wrong, because what they found inside of the truck only raised more suspicions and questions. Inside was $32,000 in cash in a bank bag, Bobby's cell phone, wallet, Sherilyn's purse, their jackets, along with their dog Maisie, who was miraculously still alive. Maisie the dog fully recovered and went on to live with Bobby's mother. There were no footprints leading away from the car. There was no sign of a struggle. It is like they simply vanished. The only items that were missing were that briefcase and Sherilyn's handgun, both of which investigators believe hold important clues. Connie Kokatan, Sherilyn's mother, told investigators that she had no idea where that $32,000 in cash came from. The Jamisons were not known to carry that kind of money around with them. And to this day, family, friends, police, nobody knows where that $32,000 in cash came from. Both Bobby and Sherilyn were known to have extreme depression throughout their lives. Neither Bobby nor Sherilyn were working because of disabilities, but were receiving disability checks. Bobby himself had been involved in a car accident and injured his back years before and was on pain meds for the injury that hadn't quite healed. He was having a hard time getting around physically because of his back. Friends and family said the couple did have arguments and there were issues within the marriage. Some families said they were very happy together, but a couple friends came forward and said they were actually having some real problems. Also in the truck, investigators found this 11-page, manically written letter from Sherilyn to Bobby. In it, she wrote of her frustration towards Bobby and said that he had destroyed their lives and their relationship, and she also called him a hermit. In the letter, Sherilyn wrote, quote, "I would not wish my daughter to be raised in foster care because of you being in prison and her mother dead," end quote. After this, Sheriff Beecham began a large-scale search, one of the largest in Oklahoma history. Hundreds searched the woods in hope to find the Jamisons, but found absolutely nothing. And eventually they had to call off the search. The idea that an entire family can vanish, and then on top of it, the reports of the haunting beforehand, ghosts in the home, voices, very scary. Sheriff Beecham believed that due to there being no signs of a struggle in or around the truck, he believes they were possibly forced out by someone that they recognized, and there was no evidence that the family was in trouble or wanted to necessarily escape their life. But finding that hate letter, they recognized that there was obviously some pretty major issues in this marriage. A local rancher told police that he saw the Jamisons driving up into the area that day. And when they're asked, was there anyone else around? Did you see anybody following them? The rancher told police that he wasn't watching super closely, but didn't note any other cars following the Jamisons or anyone accompanying them. It was just the Jamisons. Whatever transpired that day, it appeared they left their truck in a hurry and seemed to be expecting to return. Family noted how much Madison loved their dog Maisie, and they would have never have brought their beloved dog only to leave it locked in a truck. And there was major turmoil within the family as well on Bobby's side. 6 months before the disappearance, Bobby filed a protective order against his father, Bob Dean Jamison. The tension between the two built because Bobby worked at his father's gas station and was promised to be compensated, but his father reportedly never paid him. He was in the midst of actually suing his father at the time the family disappeared. Bobby said that he and his family lived in fear of Bob, and even stated that his father hit him with his car in 2008. In the report, he also stated that his father was dangerous. The protective order was actually dismissed by a judge in May 2009, so they were suing his father, but this was not their first lawsuit, as they had also sued 3 others after the car accident in 2005. A glaringly obvious suspect in the disappearance was Bob Dean Jamison. Investigators looked at Bob as someone who could be involved in this, as he had supposedly threatened to kill the family before. But there are problems with this theory. For one, Bob Dean was 100 miles away at the time of the disappearances in very poor health and was in a nursing home/hospital. So police really doubt that he could have or would have physically been up to tracking down his son, and they don't believe that he had any part of this, and he actually ended up dying in December 2009. So Bob is not a suspect. Another angle you may be wondering about is drugs. Their behavior leading up to the disappearance, the strange details surrounding how they went missing. Could drugs be involved? One could connect the $32,000 in cash that was found, the suspicious nature of the case. Was this some kind of drug deal gone awry? Sherilyn's mother doesn't believe that drugs were involved, although admitted that the family was having financial issues. Their behavior led investigators to look into the drug theory, but Sheriff Beecham said that they found 0 evidence that the two were using or dealing drugs, other than the many medications that the two were prescribed by doctors. Many point to the fact that if they were in some kind of a drug deal, they wouldn't have brought their daughter along or their dog. Some believe that possibly the family walked onto a rancher's land, were trespassing or something, and were shot. I find this theory unlikely. Another possibility is someone knew the family was driving up there and followed them. Maybe they faked their own deaths. All anyone could cling to were these theories about what could have happened. But time passed, and there was no trace of the family for 4 years. Until November 2013, 3 miles away from where their truck was discovered, partial remains of all 3 Jamison family members were found. The medical examiner couldn't find a cause of death due to the state of the remains. From the years and the elements, there wasn't a lot that they could conclude, but stated that the deaths occurred under suspicious circumstances. But that gun was never found, nor that briefcase. So they now lean towards homicide. Connie, Sherilyn's mother, said, quote, "Like I said from the beginning, I think somebody killed them. There's just no way that Bobby and Sherilyn would ever let anything happen to Madison unless something had been done to them," end quote. Sheriff Beecham brought in a psychologist to look at the video surveillance of the couple's eerie behavior while they loaded the car that day, and the psychologist reportedly watched and just said, "drugs." But again, nothing illegal was found. This is just what he observed from that trance-like behavior that they were exhibiting. Connie points to a very chilling theory, which is that the Jamisons were targeted and killed by a religious cult in southeastern Oklahoma. There are cults in the area, and one in particular supposedly had a hit list that Sherilyn's name was on. But one day there was a television program on this case that aired, I believe, on Discovery. And after this, a friend of the family got a call from this mysterious woman who mentioned a cult in the area that she believes is responsible for many missing and murdered people in the area. The mystery caller believed that there are people that could have done the Jamisons harm. The only evidence that we have is Bobby and Sherilyn acting erratically. And on the security footage of their home, no one suspicious was ever seen on camera, which would lead me to believe that they were being followed or tracked by some mystery, dangerous cult. Some say that it was this mysterious religious cult that was behind their deaths. A less sinister explanation for me would be simply that something happened and the 3 were out there and got lost and died of exposure. Perhaps they couldn't find their way back to the car. They were 3 miles away from their truck. That is a bit of a ways, and this was mountainous terrain. If somehow they got lost out there or injured, I look at this as being a possibility in this case. It doesn't explain where the gun and briefcase went, but who's to say maybe they didn't drop it elsewhere when they were lost out there. The sheriff's office maintains that in this case, they believe anything is possible. There are no clear suspects, and all the leads that they receive point in so many different directions, as you can tell by the theories we've discussed, all over the place. Most times in these cases, I feel like I can get a sense of what most likely happened, but this case stumps me. Every possible explanation makes sense to me until it doesn't. I feel so much sadness for Madison, the child in this case. Let me know in the comments what you think and what you make of this case. I want to make sure you never miss an episode of Avery After Dark. I've got so much more coming your way, so subscribe to this channel, give this video a like, and turn on post notifications. And if you want to support the show and get bonus episodes every month, join the Patreon or memberships here on YouTube. Thank you so much for joining me. I can't wait until next episode. Until then, check out these videos. You could pick that one. It's a pretty spooky one. Or that one. It's a pretty eerie one. Which one are you gonna pick?